Hello and welcome to the Wrestling Headlines Aftershock for AEW X NJPW Forbidden Door. Oh my word, what an absolutely incredible show. On a very weird ending note, I'll just get that out of the way first. A very, very weird ending just to set up the television show. But yeah, a bit of a misjudge, I'll say, to put it nicely. They absolutely nailed the whole of this show. And then the ending is, I've got to set up Blood and Guts. I've got to set up the telly show. And it's massively misjudged. So it's like, that's a shame. But the show itself, an all-timer classic. Absolutely incredible. I am going to sing the praises of this thing, because I absolutely adored it. This is so up my alley. Before I get into it, my name is Matt Maher, aka Imp. And you can follow me on Twitter at the Damn Imp. The Damn's in Damn. And this is the Wrestling Headlines review for Forbidden Door, the inaugural event from Chicago, Illinois. What a show! Just overall, first, what a truly special night. And when there's like a bit of doubt going in, just because of the seriousness of the show wasn't really there via the build. However, you always got the impression that it's going to be a fun show. But this crowd really gave that feeling that this was something special, and that really helped just to create that atmosphere, that that aura in that building, that this was truly something special, and treating them like gods. Like a packed United Centre popping huge for absolutely everything. And for me, part of it is like you kind of expected it, but where the Japanese talents were treated like the wrestling royalty, and cheered like they were the gods descending, especially Kazuchika Okada with an absolutely incredible reception to his presence. And like, I can't praise this show enough. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Apart from the ending. So it's left me on a bit of that's a bit flat note. But I'm not going to forget the rest that came before it. This was absolutely fantastic. I cannot applaud this show enough. Forbidden Door, for me, it was like an instant classic show. As I'm watching it, I'm just like, there is no down period here. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. It's a shame that they, ended on that note that they did. Oh well. It happens. It happens. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the main event first. That means I can get the positive that is the rest of the match. Get out of the way, and then get out of the way the only negative. For me, this is I think I've only got two negatives on this show, and the other negative is more that they had a good match that felt like it didn't really cement its reason for existing on this specific show in the AEW women's match. But it was still a really good match. So it's a weird one. I was like, oh yeah, not sure. It definitely felt like it gave its reason for existing on this show. However, it was still good. Whilst I feel like the ending was flat, not a good decision. I get what you're trying to do, but no, not necessary. So, first off, the important part. The main event was for the interim AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Unfortunately, they booked an ending that just overshadowed the importance of this. It just kind of just went away to the wayside. Finally, at last, Tanahashi and Moxley got their one-on-one match. 3 years in the making. That's not through lack of trying. They've tried this match multiple times over the course of this one. Didn't happen because of a tsunami, didn't happen because of a pandemic. They have tried to do Tanahashi versus Moxley before New Japan Pro Wrestling. Finally, they were able to do it, and they were only able to do it because CM Punk got injured. So even then, it was the current state of injuries. It's like the insane list that's currently there, where so many, and there were obviously people on this show got injured. So, the curse did not lift. I mean, obviously there was nothing drastic, but this is a cursed show. The day before getting news that Hiromu is injured, so he existed on this show for 2 days in public perception. It's it's insane. The injury list this is a massively changed card, massively injury hit, to the point where the weekend of it's still having to get changed because more people end up dropping out because of injury. My god. But the show was still exciting as hell. Really fun to watch. Anyway, we'll talk about the main event. So This match became way bloodier than I expected as Moxley wore the crimson mask off of some of the stomps from Tanahashi. But for me, if anything, that led to later when Tanahashi hit the high five flow, and in kicking out, Moxley then went into the bloody choke. That when he was choking him out and bleeding, it's like, oh, it adds so much. Blood can add so much to a submission. Exactly what happened here. The series of near falls as both men were becoming exhausted told such an awesome tale. The crowd on their feet as Tanahashi kicked out of a lariat at one. As in, this crowd. So Hiroshi Tanahashi is so good. He is such the perfect wrestler that this hot Chicago crowd were cheering him over their man in Moxley. That is an achievement. That is something insane. Or maybe just like on the night they were enjoying the presence of the New Japan wrestlers so much that they didn't want it to end. They didn't want it to go. Like, oh, no. Please don't go, Japanese wrestlers. Like, no. After this, they'll pass it off, and it keeps Forbidden Door special. Like, this is one thing I can say for sure. After the success of this show, I mean, obviously we don't know financially in terms of pay-per-view buys, or whatever, but in terms of the feeling on the night, this was a home run. In terms of do you do Forbidden Door 2? It's like, yeah, it feels like it was a home run. Yes, you do it. Even Hiromu. He was like, well, I guess I'll see you next year at Forbidden Door 2. I was like, well, given the success of this one, I'll be so surprised if there isn't a Forbidden Door 2. Absolutely screams it. But anyway, in this main event match, Tanahashi absolutely nailing it, and it took a paradigm shift after, like, because John Moxley went straight to do like a sleeper hold choke, and it took Tanahashi getting paradigm shift because he did not give up, even though he was gone. He should have been out. He was showing that kind of Tanahashi, that fighting spirit that Tanahashi shows, and yeah, he was able to instead get drops on his head to lose. You're not going to get that man to tap and say he quits, but you can drop him on his head. And how dare John Moxley get so much blood in Tanahashi's glorious hair? Oh, that's the biggest crime of the show. John Moxley had the audacity to bleed into Tanahashi's hair. Oh, he immediately paid for his sins. He got beaten down by the Jericho Appreciation Society. But still, the audaciousness of that man. And just kind of get into it, I would say the match itself, I thought, was a fine main event, especially towards the end as the crowd got so hot into Tanahashi possibly winning. It's that thing that New Japan wrestlers are really, really good at in their main events. You know who's winning, especially doing like the Okada reign, and Tanahashi's reigns have also done this, where you know who is winning. But for that 30 seconds, they get you. They convince you it could happen, and the crowd were going crazy for that. When Tanahashi kicked out of a lariat from hell from Moxley, they were going crazy for everything Tanahashi was doing, cheering him on, getting him behind him, like he was in Japan, getting the home support from the fans. Like, that's how good Tanahashi is. He absolutely nailed that moment. And the fans were fully going for him. Obviously, he wasn't going to win. But it's that New Japan special. You see it in so many of their main events. They convince you for that 1 minute. Even if for the rest of the match you were like, I know he's winning. It doesn't matter. For that 1 minute, they got you. So well done. Well done that. But yeah, a really solid main event to a really solid show. We want to give all the applause to that first. A really, really solid show. And for me, it's going to be up there for show of the year. Like, no questions asked. If they hadn't done this ending. And it's still going to be up there because the rest of the show was so good. However, this ending, it's just like, it's at the point where I look at it, I'm like, there's going to be a better show though. Just over the course of stuff. Like, is it better than Double or Nothing, or is it better than what we might get at All Out or Full Gear? Will WWE surprise us with an offer? Like, there's so much on this show. Was so good, but this ending was so flat. It's how you leave them. You just got to stick the landing. AEW have done the most convoluted that level of difficulty to the gymnastics. Then they didn't stick the landing. It's like, oh no. But anyway, so you get John Moxley crowned as the new champion. You get that huge moment. Then out come the Jericho Appreciation Society for a pre-blood and guts beatdown. And I watched this and I'm like, well, I was thinking there better be a name, a something, just to kind of warrant this ending the show, because this is setting up television. This doesn't feel like it belongs as the ending to your first, like to your Forbidden Door inter-promotional spectacular, focusing purely on your main event of your telly show, and deciding to set up the pay-per-view using that, does not feel like a fitting ending to that show. In terms of that, the entire point of this show was Dream Card, Forbidden Door, and all of that, to end on setting up your telly show. It doesn't sit right. It doesn't feel like a fitting ending to what came. For me, the only reason they come out, it's not to give Claudio his pop, and to show Claudio with the Combat Club first off. Like, this is not the moment you do that. If you're going to do that, you have to do it after his match, or in a backstage segment or something. You can't do it here because it's not a fitting ending to the show. It feels you're giving weight, you're kind of making the Blood and Guts feel that more special because it was different setup moments throughout the night. They took out Shooter backstage with a fireball because he's a wizard. Like, they were drip feeding Blood and Guts stuff throughout the night, like really building that this match is happening. We're gonna use this show to really get across how huge this Blood and Guts match is. But to do it at the detriment of landing a massive show like this, I feel like landing the ending of this show was more important than promoting Blood and Guts, personally. Because if you nail the landing of this, then there are no negatives at all really to talk about with this show. It's nothing but praise. And instead of spending like a few minutes talking about it, it's like, I'd rather not. Because the show was so good. I had such a good time watching this. I had such a great time tonight. However, I'm talking about this bollocks. It's like, oh well. But yeah, the main event was solid. The ending to the show was extremely flat, very questionable. I get what they were using it for. However, this is not the right... If it was just an AEW show, be it Double or Nothing or something, I'd probably be a bit more fine with it. It like still not massively like supportive of the idea, but it sits a bit better because it fits with the tone of the rest of the show, like what the aim of the show is and everything. The aim of this show was wasn't really to specifically set up this week's episode of Dynamite. It wasn't that. It was this dream card, this dream kind of scenario of a show, and instead the focus is taken away from all of that and shifted immediately to Blood and Guts. Yeah, you can do it on the show at some point, but not here, not at the ending. Like, the ending is more of a look at this crowning moment, spend your time with John Moxley, and then you can kind of think back on the interpromotional magic of the rest of the show, instead of look at Blood and Guts, tune in for Blood and Guts, do Blood and Guts, Blood and Guts, Blood and Guts. It's like, oh, it sucks. It sucks. Anyway, I'm going to shift on to the IWGP Championship match. I don't know what order to do this show. I want to say normally I'll do the main event and then I'll switch to doing the show in order. But my God, this show I might have to do the card just like in reverse. Let's go like just backwards up it because I don't know how else to. There's so much to talk about. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, another awesome match that had a bit of a kind of end to it. However, this one feels like, from what I've seen, this one isn't quite as bad. More because it comes across that this was a bit of a forced ending. Yeah, Adam Cole getting injured or re-injuring something during the match. So there was a clip doing the rounds, and it seems pretty likely that this is what's happened. Where when Okada is going for the Rainmaker, something happens. Either his leg buckles and then his arm twists, or the two together, or just his arm goes when either he's meant to get hit by that Rainmaker and that's why JY gets the pin, but something happened to his leg and something happened to his arm seems to twist as well. But I don't know, because I know he previously coming into this week he had an injury on that arm, so I don't know if I was just seeing what his arm looks like or if it did twist. But all that's come out so far is that Adam Cole was injured. He was injured after the match. So this was a bit more of a forced ending. It felt like an accidental ending, or something wasn't right. But that's what it was. It sucks because this match was fantastic. The occasion that was this match, the crowd going absolutely crazy for the fact that they're seeing an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match on their show, and Kazuchika Okada was there. And this match was so over, just like the fans chanting "Holy shit" as the bell rang before a rapturous standing ovation. Jay White jumping up onto the corner to really just cheer, motivate the crowd into going crazy for them. It was an incredible atmosphere, and the whole match, like, wow, it's incredible. Like, this match really cemented, like, if you needed any sign as to how special tonight is, this IWGP Championship match, this was it. This is what showed it. This is what showed it. Okada over as hell. Like, Jesus, treated like a wrestling god. Oh my word. And yes, Frank, yes, this card, saying this is pay-per-view's been cursed, I feel like it's got that point now where it's an understatement. Like, oh my word. The sheer amount of injuries going in and then coming out during the thing as well. We had Dax Harwood. I don't know if that was entirely planned or not, but just because the rhythm of the rest of the match played so well to get that huge cheer for his return. But then also, this is Forbidden Door card. I can easily believe that he got injured during the match, and then they worked round it incredibly well because they're all amazing wrestlers. And then Adam Cole here kind of re-injuring something or injuring his leg or something, and then the ending. Because it looked like he was going to kick out, he was meant to kick out, but he couldn't, as in he was injured. Something was wrong. And that's up to the ending. Because the rest of this match has so many awesome counters and dodges, reversals, or somebody's about to nail their move, but because it's a fatal 4-way, in jumps somebody. I was like, oh, it's such an awesome dynamic. Also, for the IWGP Championships, this is only, well, the previous titles and everything, that New Japan Pro Wrestling do not have multi-man matches, right, really at all. And the amount of times that these titles have been defended, I guess, in this century so far, is there's Brock Lesnar, Fujita, and Masahiro Chono in a Tokyo Dome show back in 2000, and I want to say 5. It's a long time ago. It was when Brock Lesnar left WWE, so I feel like it has to be 5 in terms of date line. Well, it might be 6. No, 6 with Tanahashi. So yes, we went back. Yes, 2005 triple threat. Then there's the Cody Ibushi Kenny Omega triple threat, and there was a triple threat in Ring of Honor when Kazu was champion. That's it. There's never been a fatal 4-way. This is the first time that's happened, and there's only been like 3 triple threats. That is it. It's so rare for this to happen. It makes it feel special when it does happen, and the fact that it's on foreign soil in a more chaotic kind of US match fashion. This match was it's amazing, truly fantastic, elevated by a white hot crowd reacting to every single thing they did. It was so awesome to watch. The kind of match that I could just watch the back and forth for hours. Like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, rarely do I when the fans start chanting like "Fight Forever," sometimes I'm like, it's just one of the things they say. I'm not. It's just a noise they make. It doesn't have much substance anymore. But in this match, I fully felt it. Like, I did not want this match to end. Like, a sublime flow. The time absolutely flew by. I could have stayed watching for a long, long time, which makes the ending suck. It's seemingly, if Adam Cole, with Adam Cole being injured, like, it's like, okay, yeah, I fully understand. It sucks. I can understand because Jay White, he looked pissed. That was my first kind of giveaway of, and then watching the replays, that's when I suddenly realised that, okay, yeah, something went wrong, and Adam Cole legit injured. It's a crappy time to get it. I don't know how much was left of the match. It felt like it was in its final string and flow. But obviously, Jay White was a little bit pissed that he didn't get his like oomph moment winning the title back. It was more of a heel kind of sneakily gets the thing kind of. Okay. Poor Jay White not getting this huge kind of like moment like that, but still, an absolutely fantastic match. It's just a shame about Cole. Such a shame about Cole. Yeah. Well, that's a point, Frank. Yes, with the Rainmaker. That's why my original thought was Cole meant to get hit by that Rainmaker, and was that why he was meant to be down, and then Jay White could believably try and score the win, rather than him just ducking and falling to the ground, avoiding the Rainmaker. There's a lot of question marks that just raised the flag of, what went wrong, and then watching replays, you're like, oh no, Cole appears to injure himself somehow. He's on something. He could have injured both his arm and his leg, but yeah, it didn't look right, and he couldn't kick out. It's like he tried. Something wasn't good. And that sucks. Because that's the point. I enjoyed that match so much, I didn't even mind that there wasn't a Rainmaker. It's so weird. For me, that's like the weirdest part. I was so hyped for this match, and I didn't even get a Rainmaker, which feels like the bare minimum for like a huge show like this. Because Kazu is the guy treated as the wrestling god, descending from the Japanese heavens, and he doesn't even get to hit his finisher. He got to do his pose. He got to do that, but yeah, still an absolutely fantastic atmosphere and aura throughout this entire match. There's so many amazing sequences. Adam Cole possibly hitting the best super kicking and moonsault man timing he's ever done. It was so well timed. It was incredible. The way that they were doing the workarounds to avoid the buckshot lariat, so well done. Some sequences, there'd be like 4 things in a row where someone's going for their like big move. It just gets interrupted, and sometimes you end like a flow of like 4 different moves from 3 different people. And it's just like, oh my god, there is so much happening, and it's all great. It's so good. Yeah, I feel like I can't praise this match enough, but the ending feels a bit and that's a shame. It's a shame that you kind of have that feeling towards the end of a match, rather than the rest of it, where for me the entire match was sublime, like pro wrestling at its absolute finest. And then the ending happens. It's like, oh that sucks. Yeah, but I guess it's again for the final 2 matches, like the big matches for this pay-per-view, both kind of ended on those feelings. It's like, oh that sucks a bit. Like, but this one was a kind of like, that's not really much they could have done. As in, it's Cole. If Cole is injured, it's clear out of these 3, he kind of has to be the one to take the pin as well. So it was obviously a very quick. Either it was a very quick decision, or he's so injured he generally couldn't kick out, which is at a point of, well, I wouldn't want him to leave, and then someone else who really shouldn't be taking the pin takes it. Like, yeah, it's fine. The match itself was sublime, and the way it ends like this is you're kind of begging for more, because again, yeah, no Rainmaker was hit. That's insane for me to think about. And the fact that I enjoyed it so much I didn't mind is also a bit weird. It's like, oh yeah, that means they did this match so well. I didn't care. Well done. Yeah, really. Everyone else got to. Everyone else got their moment. Yeah, really strong match. And for me, that felt like the kind of pinnacle of the night was during that match, and then when the ending happened, I'm not sure the show ever really hit those heights again. But they did get massively behind Hiroshi Tanahashi towards his hot streak towards the end of his match. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. Before that, for match number 7 of the night, because I'm just going to go up in reverse order because there's so much that happens. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Daniel Bryan's replacement, or Bryan Danielson, and oh my god, Chicago erupting with an amazing ovation for the return of Cassanoli. Yes, Claudio Cassanoli making his debut in AEW, the former Cesaro in WWE. He's now in the Combat Club, the Blackpool Combat Club. Like, Super Swiss has arrived with his own division, the Basel Combat Club. You can do it. Oh yeah, it's finally realised. Yes, Claudio in AEW. It's been so long since I've seen him outside of the WWE system. Like, because I did watch him when he was in Ring of Honor. I think it would have been towards the end of his run by the time, because I didn't start watching Ring of Honor, I think, till like 2009, and that's pretty much when he left. But oh yeah, my god, what a talent this man is, and the fact that like he felt like he was on the cusp of being realised as this amazing talent in WWE, and they either took it away from him or did a very weird booking decision or whatever. Like, because I watched the man on the indies, and his stuff with Chris Hero as well is so creative, so awesome. But like, from him like getting crap gimmicks, like he's a rugby player. Oh, that's why he's a bad rugby man. He got banned from doing the rugby because he's a bad man. And then they kind of transform it slowly over time. He was like, no, he's a wrestling god. He's amazing. Just let him do the wrestle stuff. And then he gets something incredibly over, but he's meant to be a heel. So you can't do your swing that is incredibly over because you're meant to be the bad guy instead of, and then they somewhat transition him to a good guy and give him a bad guy stuff to kind of hinder. It's so weird. And they finally got behind him for the Roman Reigns match, but you saw the pattern of, we're going to build you once you're doing your match with Roman, but because we can only focus on one thing at a time, as soon as that's finished, you're now right back to being nothing. And yeah, you can see why he asked for his release after a little while. But to see him finally back in wrestling, oh man. And the Uppercut King was on fire tonight. Oh my god. Like, the opening to this match, where he just charges at Zack Sabre Jr. with an uppercut, and then goes to hit the neutralizer, and you're like, oh my god, is he just about to squash Zack Sabre Jr., who the commentary were hyping as this year's New Japan Cup winner? Like, he is a big deal. And then Claudio just charges at him and murders. It's like, oh my god. So good. Like, imagine being Zack Sabre Jr. as well, told that you'll be on Forbidden Door and you will be wrestling Bryan Danielson, like one of the most respected wrestlers of today, and then the sadness of that match slipping away. But don't you worry, I'm going to give you Claudio. It's like, oh yeah, awesome. And no complaints. Both of these men are absolutely awesome. There's so many sequences throughout this match where it's just the two of them just on the mat reversing and countering each other, and you're like, oh, they're so good. They are so good. Also, just a little tidbit of this match treating the swing spot as the incredibly over entity that it is. For me, it's a bit of a shame that we properly got to see it in the aftermath of the main event, where the crowd didn't particularly care. This was the moment. Like, if they teased it really well in this match, just have him do it at the end of it. It's fine. I didn't mind the idea that he wasn't able to keep swinging because of the arm damage from Zack Sabre Jr., but I loved the building and the teasing and the fact that once he does get it going, he can't quite keep it swinging. Like, yes, I really like that idea, but also I won't mind him hulking up and just doing it anyway, causing more damage long term, which may have ramifications on blood and guts, but yeah, it's a good try. Or at least for the fights, if you bring out Blackpool Combat Club, if you bring them out now, after this match rather than the main event, you can do it there. Anyway, this was also, if like watching this was like a little match showing us Claudio adapt to his post WWE competition, as like you're seeing his known offense get countered and he needs to reconnect with like his part of his former self, aka do a big ass power bomb for the win. And it worked. Down he went. Really awesome match. And there's so many matches in a row where I'm just like, that was awesome, I love that so much. And then it goes to the next match, oh, that's fantastic. I adored it. It's like a run, one thing after the other. But yeah, awesome to see Claudio. He's such an amazing fit for the Combat Club as well. Can't wait to see. Can't wait to see what comes next. And the fact that he got to debut against Zack Sabre Jr., yeah, of course it was a solid match. Of course it was awesome. Anyway, next up, the IWGP Unite. I'm trying not to dwell too much because there's quite a lot to get through, and it is 5:30 in the morning. So, the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, Will Ospreay representing his faction, the United Empire, against, I guess, Chaos's Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is certainly a unique kind of challenger for a title. Unorthodox, if you will. Pissing off Ospreay in an awesome spot. Pissing him off so much where Cassidy's doing the Kawada kicks. It was possibly my favourite spot of the match. Yeah, there were loads of awesome sequences where they were countering each other and like 3 or 4 times, and eventually Cassidy like hits a beach break after they both countered each other's power bombs. So like, yeah, really good stuff. However, Ospreay does the Kawada kicks because he's taking the piss, he's being serious. Then he's on his knees. Ospreay's just knocked down for a minute. And Cassidy, he goes to do the Kawada kicks. But they're Cassidy versions where they're really soft and he's playing at doing them. Just the hey, and the face that Ospreay pulled. It was so great. It was so great as he just looks so pissed at the concept that Cassidy's actually doing this. And then of course Cassidy knocks him back down and generally does then do them. Like, oh, it's such a good sequence. This match really kicks into a gear once Cassidy genuinely started fighting back. Will himself then in response like kicks up into that more serious flow, and that's when we got our awesome quick sequences. The crowd going absolutely nuts for the ending run of this match. Cassidy getting 9.99999 off a beach break. Oh, so good. Before himself kicking out of the hidden blade. The crowd were going up on their feet cheering crazy for that. The Hidden Blade it's been set up really well on Dynamite to seem like this match-ending thing. You didn't really see him hit the Stormbreaker. That's what was brought out here. Stormbreaker for the win, as the fans were on their feet, going mental, which then brought out the post-match beatdown. So before I get into the post-match beatdown, really solid match. Match of the night. I was getting messages after it finished, oh my god, is Ospreay Cassidy really going to be match of the night? It was the thing with AEW is they have such variety on their shows that you're likely to click with one of them. And for me, this was if you go to the entertainment style of wrestling rather than you got your pure stuff with Zack Sabre Jr. and Claudio, you've got your entertainment stuff here, you got your party match with the PWG thing, and you got your mega star kind of face downs that you got in the Fatal 4-Way for the title. There's so much variety on display in these matches. But yeah, I got loads of messages saying this might be my match of the night. There's so many people really adore. I also really enjoyed this match. I think on the night, I think the thing I enjoyed the most is either the 4-Way for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship or just the PWG style party match. As in the moment Sting dove off that tunnel, I was I absolutely love this. So such a fun kind of just that party moment just to have. Yeah, and I don't need crazy storylines. Give me a PWG party match every Dynamite, and I'll be happy. But anyway, the post-match beatdown, bringing out the Chaos Friends. Out comes Rocky. Out comes Trent. They fail. They get beaten up by the United Empire. Aussie opener there. Great Okada and Cobb from earlier in the show. It wasn't going well for our Chaos boys. Then, oh my god, Katsuyori Shibata. His music starts playing. And the crowd erupts. Oh my god, Shibata's on this show. It's the fact that there was zero hype whatsoever. And he's popped up every now and then on a New Japan show, for their big ones. But it's been a while. I don't think that we've seen him since Wrestle Kingdom in January. So it's been 5-6 months since we've seen the man. And the fact that he now appears, oh my word. This was incredible. And it was so unexpected. I did not see it coming. I thought they were going to bring out somebody. It was one of those setups. You're not just going to do a brawl and put the United Empire over or something like that. You're not going to have a Chaos guy come down to get the Chaos boys back together again. No. It was setting up something. I did not, in my wildest dreams or imagination, think it was ever going to be Katsuyori Shibata. Oh my god. Which makes it the absolutely perfect setup because I'm not expecting it. It's oh yeah. That was definitely my favourite kind of single moment of the night. Just the sheer surprise that I had when that man came out, when his music played. I was not expecting it. Really solid stuff. But also, who knew the crossover moment we needed was Katsuyori Shibata in Cassidy's shades? That was so funny. And for me, that really helps kind of add and sell to the concept that this is a massive crossover show, and you're seeing characters interact, which you would never believe you would ever see them interact. And for me, this really helped highlight that feeling. It gave the show that moment, that feeling where you're watching a massive crossover of different entities interacting, and yeah, this moment was that on a pedestal with a bright spotlight on it. Amazing. Again, never saw that coming. Really incredible stuff. Which then takes me to the AEW Women's Championship. I brought this up at the start of the video half an hour ago. Well, it's basically just saying that I don't think this match validated its position on this specific card, other than there needs to be at least one women's match, and the Japanese fans know Toni Storm. This match can be used to elevate her up. It's fine. And it kind of had that feeling. It had that feeling of this match will elevate Toni Storm, but this is really her first of many AEW Women's Championship matches. This was not the be all or end all, go out there, go crazy type of thing. This match, I don't know, it didn't really have that high sense of intensity to it. The rest of the card kind of has something there. Whilst this was a solid outing between the two, it was still a really good match, but it lacked that intensity when everything else around it didn't. And I feel like that's kind of what makes it stand out of it. It didn't really validate its existence on this specific card. But in terms of what it was doing, I still applaud it, and I'm still behind it. I really like the idea of giving Rosa that solid contender in Storm. having a kick out of the Thunder Rosa driver. Having a kick out of that, really helping elevate Toni Storm as this really to be feared competitor. But this match is the elevation. Like, this is the match that kind of gets her into that upper echelon of the women's division in AEW. And yeah, this isn't the match which you then go crazy over. It did what it needed to. Like, long term, this match is massively needed for this division. It is the correct match to do. But on this, and in terms of like where the division's heading, it's also like almost like the correct time to do it. That said, on this specific show, I'm not sure it validated its own existence on it. It's a weird thing where what they did I thought was fine, but on this specific show, yeah, it kind of sticks out as like I'm not sure why it's definitely on it. Other than you need a women's match on the card on the show, and this filled that block. This was also our only AEW versus AEW match, so I can understand the fans not being as crazy for it. But again, it was solid enough that in the second half, yeah, because I feel like for me this match took a minute to find its own rhythm after the crazy bollocks of the match before it, which I'm so excited to talk about. But did they find their groove once we got rolling into that second half? Like a really solid defense, if not one with the highest of intensity, which like maybe why I feel like I'm talking about this being Tony's initial title attempt. Like, this was a match that gave me the impression there was more to come, and I'm excited for more to come. But that means that this match isn't that high intensity moment. The ending momentum coming after Storm kicked out of a devastating looking Thunder Rosa driver and incensed Rosa, killing things off with an awesome twisting suplex. They gave it the name. They said what it was called, but I can't remember. But yeah, it looked awesome. Like that's the next big move that you do when people just start kicking out of your finishing moves. Like, fine, I'm just going to do a move where I twist and drop you on your head. Nothing fancy. Nothing where it's like, this is my finishing move. Like, no, this is the move where I drop you on your head because I'm pissed. Yes, I love it. I love that, having that there. Yeah, really, really solid match. I'm not really sure for me personally if it validated its existence on this specific card, but really, really good, and sets them up really well for what's to come next, which is hopefully building to Toni Storm getting another run. I don't know how big a circle or scenic route you need to go for that, but yeah, you set me up for it. I'm excited for it. Then we get to possibly my favourite match of the night. I think it's the one where I just had a smile on my face, enjoying myself from ear to ear for the entire time of this match. Shingo Takagi, Darby Allin and Sting versus Young Bucks and El Phantasmo. Stingo and Darby. Oh my god. Sting, what an entrance. That man at his age leaping off the entrance tunnel onto the dickheads who were on the stage, and that set the tone for the match. Like, this match was fun bollocks, and I absolutely adored it. I enjoyed this so much. It was awesome to see the back rake spot over as hell, like, because obviously I've seen them do it in New Japan, and I really enjoy it. But to hear it in an atmosphere this hot, rather than because it's been the clap crowds in AEW. So they do that, and you kind of hear the reaction a bit like they're enjoying it, but I've not heard like a full molten hot crowd reacting to it. And the back rake spot was like so fun, and the fact that ELP just flips about all over the place. But Matt Jackson then also decided to get in on the fun after watching ELP flip about all over and then go It's like, yeah, Matt Jackson, he had to also do it, and then just sold him just being a bit off balance because he'd done too much flipping. So, I love silly crap like that. This match was so much fun. Like, your PWG party match of the night, I absolutely adored it. I mean, we saw a Sting nipple twist spot. Like, legendary. Best match ever. No doubt. No doubt in there. As soon as ELP went over and tried to twist his nipples, I was like, please have Sting later when the momentum's kind of flowing about all over the place, and they both ELP and Sting find themselves the two in the ring. Please just let Sting get revenge and twist his nipple. And the fact they did it, I was so happy. I was like, yes, nipple comeuppance. It's exactly what I want. An absolute blast. I love these party tag matches so much, and the fact that we are getting them so regularly on AWTV and every at least one every pay-per-view. I'm a very happy chappy. These are so... It's just a pure kind of 10-15 minutes of like a blistering pace, and it's just pure fun. Like these aren't really there to build up story or whatever. Like, obviously you can do story in them with the exchanges that take place with who's interacting with who. But this was so much fun. Also, the nice little tidbit that this was the first time that Darby Allin has faced either of the Young Bucks. Just really interesting that these are talents that have somehow been kept separate for how long AEW has existed, to still have fresh matchups with originals. It's like, that says a lot. But yes, I'll forever remember this as the match with the Sting nipple twist spot, and I absolutely adored it. So much fun. Yeah, I'm not going to go. I don't want to go through like every single favourite sequence from this kind of fun. There's a lot of it, like different exchanges and things, like runs of moves where like different people jumping in. However, just the vibe of the match for me is the big thing. Pure fun, pure silly fun, pure bollocks. And I loved every moment of it. It's also why it took me like a little moment to get into the women's match afterwards, just because I was smiling throughout this match and laughing so much that when I decided to just a minute to adjust. Shingo getting the win as well. Really cool looking for finishing move where he goes for Made in Japan, but instead hoists onto his shoulders and does a dash of the dragon instead. It's like, yes, that was awesome. Yeah, I must have seen him do that before, because I've seen him do that of the dragon when Made in Japan doesn't work. I've seen him do that, but the fact he was going for one and then elevated into the other, it's like, I must have seen him do it, but it was awesome. Then comes the AEW All Atlantic Championship match. You're going to realise this card does not let up. It's fantastic match after fantastic match all the way through the show. It's why it really is a shame that the endings of both the final matches, one had something go wrong and one had something go wrong in terms of the booking. It's like, it's a shame, because the entire show is like every single match is a home run. It's just like, man, what a show. The AEW All Atlantic Championship, Malachi Black versus Pac versus Miro versus Clark Connors. It's Clark Connors versus Europe, and Europe kicks his ass. This is like, poor Clark Connors. Also, like, what a pairing of folks in this match. What a collaboration of people this was. And what it could have also been if not for Ishii's injury, another person on the list. Like, exploding into life with sparring spells of dominance of like the likes of Miro. The crowd white hot also for Connors for his spurring moment, like after he just got the crap beaten out of him by all three lads for the majority of the fight. He then charges poor Miro through a table on ringside before running over everybody, and the crowd were going crazy. However, this story is not about America. This is about the All Atlantic Championship featuring countries not on the Atlantic, but it's fine. It's fine. Which in turn, that it is charged Miro through the table, but that just set up Miro's own hot fire return, as he then just charges in and goes to use their game over submission on who did he have? He had it on Pac. That was it, and it felt like this was it, and was going to wrench it back. But then in comes Malachi Black with the Black Mist. Out he goes. Then comes back in Clark Connors. I knew I'd say that. I knew it. I knew as soon as it got close to 6, I'd be covering this match. I'm going to say Clark Connors. But I only know that because I've covered him before in NJPW shows. I made a mistake there. Damn him having a name like that. Anyway, Clark. Then he gets clobbered down by Malachi Black, but Pac is there to jump in and then brutalise submission poor Connors for the win. Pac, again, a huge cheer when Pac wins as the first ever AEW All Atlantic Championship. A man who was like a figurehead for the company at the start, one of the four chosen men to be in the tournament to become the first ever AEW champion all those years ago, and now he finally gets his first title in the promotion. More than deserved. Really, it's an incredible match. Really, just the flow of it is amazing, and the fact that there's a guy the crowd didn't really give that much of a reaction to when he came out, But by the end of the match, they were going crazy for Clark Connors because they did such a good job of snuffing out his fire in spite of him charging in and trying. And then the way they really got him over, they constantly showed him still having fight in spite of the fact that Europe was kicking his ass. Again and again and again, be the person from Netherlands, England or Bulgaria, it didn't matter, they kicked his ass every time. But he kept getting back up and eventually finally he was able to charge his way in. And I really like the way the commentary are putting him over, as he is the guy who will just charge at something, but often to his detriment. And that was kind of the case for this match. Like, he was going to charge into this match head first, and he did it. And at one point when he charged Maher through the table, that was perfect. But earlier in the match when he's charging at them, they just kicked him. So yeah, poor Clark. Pac flying in and then brutalising Clark for the win, becomes the first champion. Pac always is always, in terms of like this version of the character, it's always looked the best with the belt. The fact it's been so long since we've seen it makes it feel more special. Speaking of belts and people and special, it's a tangent of sorts. The winner takes all tag team championship match for the Ring of Honor tag team championships and the IWGP tag team championships. FTR versus United Empire's Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan versus Roppongi Vice. FTR collecting all the belts, following up with a second run of interpromotional multi-person madness following the opener. A spanner thrown into the works as Dax Harwood gets taken to the back injured, but it created such a unique flow as Cash played a 3-team kerfuffle on his own, like sneaking in tags because he's all by himself, and weighing up tagging out when he's been beaten and needs to make a tag, but he's got no partner, so if he's got to do that, he's got to do that to one of the opposition teams. It's like, yes, I love the kind of conflict that creates, and just in quick moments he does make the decision to tag. It's like, no, it's not worth it, he could get beat. Building to an eruption of a pop upon Dax's return, the match kicking into hot fire gear the moment he came down. It didn't let up after that. It stayed white hot and throwing some awesome creative moments with the 3-team dynamic. The flow from this point on was absolutely fantastic, reaching such great heights as each team came so close to snatching that win. Like, from one to the next, each team had their convincing moment, to no avail, before poor Rocky found himself getting shatter machined. Big Rig, that's what it's called in this company. Poor Rocky. But to be fair, like before then, like Roppongi Vice had their moment, Cobb and O'Khan had their moment. Just the way that the match kind of flowed, and eventually, like, oh my god, they just hit the finisher. Like, but no, something stopped them every single time, and eventually the big rig to Rocky. And yes, and it's quite exciting to see FTR have the AAA tag team titles. They have the AEW tag team titles, and now they have the IWGP. Just the cross promotion run that these guys are having currently. It's exciting. And to think I might see FTR on a New Japan show, that's weird. awesome, but also weird. They're not really a promotion with the strongest tag team scene in the world, but it's still exciting to think I'll see them on a New Japan show. That is, because New Japan kind of goes, it's not like WWE where you don't really have faith that even if they've got like a really popular tag team, you don't really have faith that they'll really give prestige to the division. The people will be white hot in it, but then focus will be taken away. Whilst in New Japan, it kind of goes in ebbs and flows where the division almost feels empty or it feels full, and you kind of oscillate between the two. It's a weird one. It currently feels empty. In the past, again, it has felt full, but not right now. I don't know if Pandemic might be part of it, because they quite often import foreign teams to kind of bolster the division, and FTR winning the titles does exactly that. But Cobb and O'Khan have done really well to establish themselves as a really strong unit in that division. But a team like FTR was needed, and my god, they're going to be in New Japan. That's going to be really exciting. And that brings to the final match. I mean, there's the pre-show matches that I might just quickly say the results for, but the first match on the show, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara and Minoru Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta and Shota Umino. A crowd-pleasing, crowd-popping Initial match, they were going crazy for everybody. This was the first official match on the show, but they went crazy for every single Japanese lad. Treated like superstars, revered like gods, and Eddie Kingston's there to beat them all up. It was so good. Yuta whipping the crowd into a frenzy right off the bat as he out-wrestled Chris Jericho. But, Jesus Christ, the pop for Jericho tagging in Suzuki to wrestle Eddie Kingston, that was incredible. As in, like, that was the pairing they wanted to see. And the moment the two of them were in the ring, the crowd were going crazy. Making so much noise. And I think, because this was quite early on in the show, I was just thinking, like, are we going to get this level of noise throughout the entire show, or is it going to be a bit like Double or Nothing, where they were hot, then they drained themselves and they got tired, and there's a portion of kind of a bit more quiet. Like, no. This show was paced really, really well in terms of reasons for the crowd to pop, and that meant that they were going really loud and crazy throughout the entire night, rather than stacking it on certain segments, and they get tired through those segments by really enjoying them, but they get tired by them. That didn't happen on this show. They were spaced out and paced really, really well. Yeah, it's meant that these initial pops that we were hearing for Eddie Kingston and Minoru Suzuki, this level of stuff continued throughout the entire night. And for me, like, the peak reaction was the start of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship match. Like, it went all the way to the penultimate match of the night in terms of when was the actual peak reaction. Like, that's quite late in the show, and it was continuous throughout the rest of the show. Like, oh yeah, so good. A blast of an opener. Such like rapid paced wrestling to kick us off. The crowd on their feet at times chanting "This is awesome" as momentum swung back and forth at such a rate. And like, towards the end, as the action broke in the ring, you could guarantee somebody would be outside brawling at the same time. Just out on the ringside. You got your action going on in the ring, someone's going for the pin, but you know that Minoru Suzuki is ringside biting Eddie Kingston's finger. Like, you know it's also happening at the same time. A huge pop for Umino getting his Tokyo Dome revenge moment and locking Jericho in the Boston Crab. That was an awesome thing, because that brought up so much on commentary. It was good to see. There was a reason for it. They tied it into the match. In the end, though, the Appreciation Society continued to steal their wins in these multi-man matches. And Eddie Kingston got his awesome moments with Suzuki, continued to look like a badass. Wheeler Yuta is over as hell. Shota Umino got that. He got more of a reaction of, oh, this guy, and then he got to impress. And more of a, like, oh, we know this guy is, and then you watch him, it's like, oh no, yeah, he's really good. It's like, yeah, he is so good that Chris Jericho then does a fireball into his face because he's a wizard. Oh yeah. This was a really, really fun opener to the show, and it did what it needed to. It popped the crowd, and it got them crazy for the Japanese lads, for the promise of Japanese lads, for the promise of also that you're not just going to get Japanese lads, you're also going to get solid wrestling, like awesome wrestling, and this match set the tone for all of that. Mix that in with the Eddie Kingston brawling chaos. Like, what's going on? There's so many things happening at the same time that he just brings to his matches. Like, yeah, that was also here. Really, really solid stuff. But in terms of that show overall, for me, as I was watching it, I was like, this is an all-timer. This is like a candidate for show of the year. It's so good, it feels grand, it feels huge. A part of that is the crowd reacting so well to everything, and it felt like a massive deal. It didn't hurt that the show was so it's just like kind of fun atmosphere as well, really, really enjoyable. But the final two matches, one wasn't their fault with the Adam Cole thing, but it does take a bit of the kind of flow momentum away from the enjoyment overall, because of course it means they didn't stick the landing. Then the main event, like, the finish from the main event itself was fine, but it was just like, as soon as it had ended, we're going straight into promotional mode. And it's like, feels like this really should have just dwelled on the ending and kind of stayed there to let you soak it in. You got your new champion, end there. At max, the Comeback Club come out to celebrate with him. We don't get, and of course they run down Blood and Guts. Maybe Moxley cuts a promo or something, but we don't get, and you can mention Blood and Guts there, you say, well, what he's doing next. But you don't get Jericho Appreciation Society, you don't get a big brawl, it doesn't end on that note. You can't do Cesaro's music hitting again for the big, it's Cesaro pop, because you've already done it. And you can tell by the crowd were not really reacting to it. It's like, this is not the note we wanted to end on. Like, that sucks. But the rest of the show was so damn good. For me, this is like a match. This is a show of the year candidate. It was so good. So enjoyable. Such an enjoyable night of wrestling. So yeah, the ending was a bit naff, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the 4 hours that I had wasn't incredibly enjoyable, which it was. It was incredible. AEW, I feel like I'm saying it again for them, but it's how you leave them, and they've left a bit sour. But overall, entire show, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Can't applaud it enough. Yeah, if you've not watched it and for some reason you listen to this review, obviously everything's spoilt for you now. But absolutely incredible show. Loved it. The atmosphere is insane. They're so hot for absolutely everything. So round of applause to AEW and New Japan for putting this together. It felt huge, it felt big, and it also felt like setting up for one next year as well. I was talking about that on when I guested on Sam Brown's podcast on the Social Suplex Network, where we were previewing the show. Well, I was just like, yeah, it feels like a lot of these matches are also setting up future stuff. Like, are they going to do our Hangman versus Okada match eventually next year? And accidentally now you've set up Hiromu, you set up Ryan Danielson, you set up CM Punk. There's so much that you've accidentally set up that you can just do next year. So really good stuff there. And just quickly go through the buy-in matches before I say goodbye and go to sleep. We had Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto defeat the Factory's QT Marshall and Solo. Hiroki Goto was with a really strong reaction, and the crowd were really happy just to watch these two Japanese lads get the win. Lance Archer, in a match that I didn't know was happening, defeated Nick Kamoto. Swerve and Our Glory defeated El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. That match was absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. Great kind of little character work dynamic between Keith Lee and Shane Strickland. Shane Strickland is so cool, and Keith Lee is also really cool. But actually, it's like, oh yeah, Keith Lee is also really cool. But yeah, I love that pairing, and Desperado and Kanemaru were an awesome kind of trying to foil them. Best way to put it. It's and then the Swerve and Our Glory getting the win there. Gun Club and Max Caster defeated the DKC, Kevin Knight, Alex Coughlin, and Yuya Uemura. Yuya Uemura, a young lion, is coming along really, really well. It won't be long until he's like a big name in New Japan, but obviously still currently a young lion. The others are all really impressive, but the thing that made me laugh was you had Danhausen getting rid of the Ass Boys by playing his song, which really annoyed them. I was like, but it's better than their actual theme. So if you can find a way to do an arc where they end up coming out to that music, I'm not against it. But that means they ran away, meaning it was just Max Caster and Billy Gunn, and they were going. They defeated all of them. However, when you do a New Japan match, like the Young Lions, they never beat the full-time wrestlers. And Max Caster and Billy Gunn, they're full-time wrestlers, so the Young Lions will never be beating them. That's how it works. Even though there are more of them, it doesn't matter. They're trainees. It's the Bruce Lee movie where the guy just keeps sending his students in, and of course, obviously, one of the students should be like, "Dude, you trained all of us. We're all of the same level. What difference do you think I'm going to make running out? Glenn has got his head kicked in. Glenn's been here a week longer than me. What am I going to do?" Anyway, yeah. So anyway, did I just compare? I forgot his name. So I just compare Billy Gunn to Bruce Lee. I feel like that's the best note to end this review on. I'll do that. Yeah. He's the Bruce Lee of wrestling. Anyway, yeah, an exceptional show. Truly special night. It's it's a shame about the flat ending. That's all I can say for it, really. Exceptional show, a special night. Everything felt huge. It felt like a really big deal. A really exciting night with loads and loads of amazing moments and huge pops. The crowd were spectacular. They treated it like a big deal. It's just a shame about the end of the show. I think, for me personally, I think the right call is just to soak in the atmosphere, just soak in Moxley winning, and at max the Combat Club celebrate with him. But yeah. Do I recommend Forbidden Door? Absolutely yes. It was exceptional. Of course I do. It's obviously just a shame it landed flat. Anyway, that's the end of the review. And what do you think of the Forbidden Door show? Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at @thedamnimplicat. Also, there's my Twitch, The Implications with 2 S's. There's the Wrestling Headlines website as well. And there's Wrestling Headlines on Twitter, Russell Headlines, that's Wrestle without an E. There's also the Facebook page. You can get all your info there. I guested on Sam Brown's preview show this Thursday. I can't remember when we recorded it. There was an issue. So if I'm right, the first 30 minutes are the only 30 minutes you can actually hear me. But 30 minutes of me. And earlier, or was it the week before? I can't remember. I guess on the Keeping It Strong Style podcast to talk about New Japan Dominion. And coming up will be the G1 Climax. So in terms of my schedule coming up, there's the G1 Climax that starts on July 16th, and I'll be doing a column at the end. I'm trying to post it every Friday, which is the run there. So I'll give like the top 5 or however many matches of the week. The schedule's really weird. I don't know if I need to change it from 5 to 10 or whatever, but I'm posting that every Friday, as well as my normal column every Sunday, go through the week. But next Saturday, next in line, the next thing that's happening, I've got Aftershock again this Saturday for Money in the Bank. Not from the big stadium. No. They're in a much more conservative. Sold out, I will say. They sold out the smaller stadium, but they sold out the smaller arena for Money in the Bank. But I love Money in the Bank. I love this kind of time for WWE. I love ladder match, multi-man kerfuffles. I really enjoy those. So that'll be a blast watching that. And of course, last year's was their return to arenas and things, so that was an awesome atmosphere as well. I'm assuming that's a really good show to revisit, just because the crowd is white hot. Again, this show will be so good to revisit, and it's so easy a rewatch, even though it's really long, purely because of the atmosphere. Same goes for Money in the Bank, which is a nice transition. So next Saturday, that's what I need to remember. It's airing on a Saturday, live from Las Vegas. Money in the Bank, that's next in line. So I'll be live covering that immediately after Aftershock as well. But yes, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Feel free to comment on wrestling headlines or whatever, and give us your thoughts on Forbidden Door. Did the ending of the show ruin it for you? Did it make it flat? Did the final 2 matches kind of get in those semi-flat endings, kind of take away your sales a little bit? Or were you a bit like me, where the rest of the show was so incredibly solid that it didn't matter? I thought the show was exceptional. Highly recommend watching it. It's just, were the detractions big enough, essentially? Because it wasn't a perfect show, but I still found it so incredibly entertaining and fun that I didn't mind. I really didn't mind. Anyway, with that, I say thank you for engaging in any form and any manner. Always appreciated, never taken for granted. And with that, I bid you adieu till Saturday for Money in the Bank. Adios.